So it's important to know the types of rhymes that you can use. As a rapper, you want to be able to take your lyrics and take all your songs to the next level. And the best way to do that is to know your foundation, have something to build on. Actually know why something's good. So I'm gonna go over different types of rhymes, and we'll get the basic definitions down, and we'll have some examples here, and we'll go through them. So my name is Drop from letitdropmusic.com. Good looks for checking out the YouTube. Definitely subscribe and like the video, and also let me know your different types of rhyming techniques as well. If I missed any here, or different examples, I'm sure that you can think of more elaborate examples than what I'm going to show you today. But I wanted to pick some songs that I figured everyone would know, or at least have an idea of what the verse is and everything. So first one I have lined up is Nothing But a G Thing, Snoop Dogg. Surprisingly, this song has a lot of different types of rhymes in it. So if right from the first line, you'll see 1, 2, 3 into the foe, Snoop Doggy Dogg and Dr. Dre are at the dough. So obviously that's a perfect rhyme. For, door, faux, dough. No matter what way you distort it or anything like that, it's still a perfect rhyme. And that's one of the number one rhymes that we start with, as rappers. We start with that perfect rhyme. That's, the beginning of it all. And a lot of times the perfect rhymes, when you're trying to say something seriously, you're going to get the most effect from that. Another type of rhyme would be an imperfect rhyme. So the opposite of the perfect rhyme. It would be a rhyme that it kind of, it does rhyme, but then again, it's not perfect. So let me actually go over to Jay-Z here. And he had a good one right in his, this is actually Moment of Clarity. So right in his first, right in the chorus actually, thank God for granting me this moment of clarity, this moment of honesty. Clarity, honesty, they kind of rhyme, they have that ending TY sound, but they're not really perfect. They're imperfect rhymes. So that's another one that you want to keep track of. Perfect and imperfect. Pretty simple there. And then you'll go over to something more like a slant rhyme, or broken rhyme. So this is where actually more than one word would actually rhyme with the word. And I actually have a pretty unique one right here. So this is in the Snoop Dogg verse. So now you know I ain't with that shit, Lieutenant. Ain't no pussy good enough to get burnt while I'm up in it. So this is really, really unique right here, because he has one word, Lieutenant, while I'm up in it. So that's also a broken rhyme, because he's using multiple words, or slant rhyme, multiple words to rhyme with this one word. And then also to touch on the next type of rhyme, which is distorted. So he's actually distorting the way he's saying while I'm up in it and Lieutenant, because it and Lieutenant, they don't exactly rhyme. So he's distorting the way he's saying Lieutenant and while I'm up in it to make them sound good. So we have perfect rhymes, which is obviously like the faux and the dough, or the for and the door, bubble, trouble, baby, crazy, except in this particular one he actually distorts it. And even though they're perfect rhymes, you can still distort them. And that's the whole thing of knowing all these different types of rhymes, is so you can say, okay, instead of just rhyming this perfectly every time, what's in my arsenal? What different techniques am I savvy with that I can go ahead and use to create different things? And that's how you stop, the writer's block. That's how you, cancel all that negative stuff out and just keep on growing and keep on going. So we have perfect rhymes, imperfect rhymes, slant rhymes, or broken rhymes, which is the multiple words rhyming with one word, and then also the distorted. So the next one would be identical. So there's a good example right in the first verse here, Snoop Dogg. So you never know she could be earning her man and learning her man, and at the same time burning her man. So her man, her man, her man, all identical rhymes, and then they all have a perfect rhyme, earning, burning, perfect rhyme, and then learning, another perfect rhyme right before those identical rhymes. So her man, her man, her man. So I mean, that's a popular thing too. Let me go over to Nas really quick. This is One Mic. He actually does it right in the beginning. identical rhymes, one mic, one beat, one stage. You know what I mean? All that same word over and over and over again. That's considered an identical rhyme. And then also we have a really famous one here. Well, it should be famous to you. I mean, if you're a rapper, this is a pretty used lyric. Like, a lot of people have used this before. Well, not before. Biggie, I don't believe. Definitely let me know if I'm wrong, but I believe Biggie's one of the first ones to really have this line. But, you know, beef is when I see you, guaranteed to be in ICU. So ICU. He's using what it sounds like to be the same exact words. You would say in the same way, but he's meaning totally different things. In this case, it's written differently, but in some cases, you know, like in this song here, Herman, he's using the exact same words, but you can also use that identical rhyme to actually flip it. So again, you can say, you know, well, how can I flip something up and it'll be an identical rhyme, and you put that in your rhymes, and that's what's going to advance you and make you better and really step your game up. So next one I wanted to talk about was consonant rhymes. And if we go back over to Nas again, he's using that one, so he's using the same word there, one mic, one beat, one stage. So that's kind of a consonant rhyme, but you can even go a step further if you look at songs like, you know, alphabet songs. Like Papoose had a famous alphabet song a while ago. A lot of people have done it, but anytime you have that same letter, word after word after word, you know, that's also a consonant rhyme. Even if they're not perfect, you know, that's what you can call them, consonant rhymes. So if you want to, you know, maybe spice up a line, you can maybe say, how can I say this a little differently so that every word has the same starting letter or the same starting consonant, you know, things like that. And one more I wanted to talk about, I couldn't really find an example of, is, you know, kind of like a line break where you can actually have the first half of a word end a line and end a rhyme scheme, and then the second half of the word begin the first line. So, you know, I don't know if anyone can find an example for me, put it in the comments, or give me an example from their own lyrics. So now that you know all the different rhymes, you know, you want to bring them together, and there's a couple different techniques that you want to look for when you're writing your rhymes, and one of them being mosaics. So actually having multiple different words together, stringing them along. So mosaic rhymes, or sometimes they're called multi-rhymes. So this verse right here I have Inspector Deck. This is from Triumph, Wu-Tang Clan. So they're going off rhyme after rhyme. I bomb atomically, Socrates, philosophies, and hypotheses. Can't define how I be dropping these mockeries. So right there, he's using a bunch of perfect rhymes. He uses a broken rhyme, dropping these to rhyme with everything else. And he just keeps going with the whole phrase, just rhyme after rhyme after rhyme, and it's really only a couple bars or so, and he has a bunch of rhymes. So that's really bringing your writing style to the next level, you know, having a bunch of different rhymes. You know, when someone rhymes like that, they have to be good. You know, you have to know your rhymes. You have to have a lot of words in your vocabulary. You have to have a lot of knowledge of different ways to rhyme, you know, to make that possible. So, you know, if you're saying something simple, I mean, you could leave it simple, but I mean, if you really want to push yourself to the next level, then including a lot of mosaics, a lot of multis, it is a really good way to do that. Another song here, Eminem, Lose Yourself. So it should be a pretty familiar song with a lot of people. And right in the first verse, he has a bunch of multis. His palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. You know, there's vomit on his sweater already, mom's spaghetti. You know, so one bar pretty much there, and he has 4 rhymes already. You know, he's stringing them all along. It's a mosaic type of rhyme. So right after that, though, he puts another one here that I want to go into called embedded rhymes. So he has this main rhyme scheme here, sweaty, heavy, already, spaghetti, and then he puts this real quick embedded one, he's nervous but on the surface. So it's kind of an imperfect rhyme there, and it's embedded, and then he goes right back to the main rhyme scheme. He looks calm and ready. So embedded rhymes is a good way to, again, spice up your lyrics, your mosaics, make them a little more advanced, and that can be found through a lot of different songs. Like a lot of songs use mosaics, use embedded rhymes. So, keep an ear out to those things. Keep an ear out when you're listening to music. What can I do, or what's being done already that I could do that would, spice up my music, make myself more advanced, push me to that next level. What am I not doing? What am I am doing? Because, when these songs were written, they weren't thinking, oh, let me put this type of rhyme here and this type of rhyme there. They were just kind of flowing and feeding off the top. But in order to keep that inspiration up, it's important to know how and why things are good. So that way when you hear something that you're inspired by, you can go in there and dissect it and say, okay, this is why it's good. He used a lot of this, or they used a lot of that. And then you can say, let me try some of those techniques on my own and use that as inspiration. So that way you don't have those negative things like writer's block. And that way you can always be growing, always be inspired and never plateau. Because if you just go and you write and you just write by ear and you just write what you know, that's great, but you're going to progress at a slower pace. You could plateau. You could just stay and stick with the same things all the time because you're not discovering new things. If you're constantly trying to discover new ways to do things, then that's what's going to keep you inspired. So when you hear that song and you already know the foundation of how it's made, you're going to understand why it's good. You're going to be able to implement that into your music. So a couple other really quick things I just wanted to add here. There's also different types of words that you can use, like stressed and unstressed. So like the word present and present, I just wanted to throw that in there. Keep that in mind to stay inspired, because if you think of different ways that even words are said sometimes, they can mean different things. Like present is obviously stressed, present is unstressed, and same way that you would spell the word out, but they mean different things. Also, keep in mind with the words that you choose, there's also related rhymes or relation rhymes, or thematic rhymes, rhymes on the same theme, like drug and plug, or cake and bake, or free and slavery, you know what I mean? Like, they have all those different themes that they're sticking to, so if you're stuck on a song, maybe start thinking of words in the same theme, also opposed themes as well, like opposed relations, opposites, like death and breath. Those two words, they rhyme, but they kind of mean like the different, totally different things. So use those different techniques to stay inspired. Just a real quick recap: you got your Mosaic Rhymes, which is all of your rhymes, thrown down together, string them together in lines. You also have your embedded rhymes, so maybe switching the rhyme scheme really quick and then going back to that original rhyme scheme. You have your perfect rhymes, pretty self-explanatory, exactly the same word. Imperfect rhymes, so they kind of rhyme, but they kind of don't. Might have some of the same sounds, but not all the same sounds. You also have your slant and broken rhymes, which is more than one word, rhyming with one word. Distorted rhymes, changing the way that you say a word to make it rhyme. You also have identical, using the same word to rhyme with itself. Consonant rhymes, so rhyming maybe the first letter, first consonant of every single word in order. Then you also have that line break, which is having that half of a word at the end of a line rhyme with the rest of the rhyme scheme, and then continue the second line with the second half of the word. And then also keep in mind, stay inspired, think of different ways to say words, present, present, relate your themes, or don't relate your themes. Use all that for inspiration. All this is just a foundation for you to be able to listen to something and be inspired. So stay writing. This is dropitlettersdropmusic.com. Definitely leave me a comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.